Mm, Welcome to this yoga psychology and philosophy program. Today, I'm going to speak on a very important subject to yoga, and not only to yoga, but to me in my life. That is, what is the purpose, what is the meaning of the whole of my life? Why I am born, and why there is death, and what am I supposed to do during this birth and the death? As we all understand, nature is a very precise arrangement of different forces and objects and energies. Everything fits really well, and there is a delicate balance. So there has to be some purpose of every object that is created by the Mother Nature. And my life is one such existence. Let's move on. Before we understand the meaning of life, it's important to understand who I am. When I say me, what I am referring to? Yoga says that I, or that me, is an individual consciousness, and it's a part of the cosmic consciousness. It's a part of that infinite cosmic reality. In yoga, it's called Atma. The oldest text known to the mankind is Vedas, where yoga is mentioned first. The first occurrence of word yoga is in Vedas. The Vedas have proclaimed this nature of Atma in a very integrative way. Soham or Aham Brahmasmi. Soham is I am that. Aham Brahmasmi, I am that cosmic consciousness. So that Atma is a part of divine. That same Atma is discussed in a very beautiful way in another very important text of Bhagavad Gita, where Atma, that consciousness, is described as an energy, an intelligent energy, a part of cosmic energy which has no birth, which has no death, which is ageless, which is timeless, something that cannot be killed, and something that is not born. Now, how is this energy of Atma works? It's the central energy that connects everything that I have. I have my body. I say this is my body. I say I have a mind. My mind. I say I have intellect. I can think. I have a memory. I can remember. I have an ego. I can protect myself. But who is this I? It's the central energy which connects your body, which connects your mind, which connects your intellect, which connects your memory, connects you and gives you a form of that I. In one of the Upanishads are a part of Vedic texts. This Atma is discussed and in a very discussed with a very interesting example. The example is given is that of a chariot. There is a chariot. The chariot itself is like our body. To that chariot, there are 5 horses. These 5 horses represent the 5 sensory organs such as eyes, ears, nose, tongue for tasting, and skin for feeling and touch. The five horses also represent the five motor organs: your arms, legs, your tongue for talking, the urinary organ, and the excretory organ. So these five sensory organs and five motor organs is how we interact with the outside world. Now there are reins, the strings that control the horses. These strings together are called mind. There is a chariot driver who is supposed to control these horses through this reins. That chariot driver is intellect. And the owner of the chariot is Atma. That divine consciousness, part of divine consciousness. The whole idea is this journey of my life. The horses needs to be controlled. The sensory organs need to be controlled using mind. And who the mind should listen to? The mind should not listen to the sensory organs, but it should listen to the intellect. And who the intellect should listen to? It should listen to the Atma. And this is the whole idea of meaning of life. This is a meaning. To run the chariot in the right direction. So let's move on further, because the concept of Atma and which direction the chariot has to move is still unanswered. Before we go to that, we need to understand the concept of Atma more clearly. So I'm going to give you some examples. Ask yourself, who am I? If you answer, I am my body, but then you see your body changing continuously. Every moment there are new cells that are being formed. The medical science says that, say, around 7 years' time, every cell in your body is replaced. So every 7 years you have a brand new body. But I don't feel it that way. Even after 7 years, I remain Gandhar. So I don't feel I'm changing, although my body is changing. So body is not me, because I am not changing. I still feel the same. The same is with mind. Since my childhood, these are my feelings and I can feel it. These are my thoughts and I can think, I can understand them. Although the conditionings of the mind are changing, my mind is still the same. The experiences are there. That changes the conditioning of the mind. But that I behind that mind is the same. The intellect is changing every moment, but I remain the same. Every day I get up and look in the mirror, I feel I am same. Although people say, oh, you look little old. So that I, which is unchangeable, which is a constant principle, is what is Atma. And it's not same as your body. It's not same as your mind. It's not same as your intellect. We have to remember that. Now, you can relate to Atma as some kind of consciousness that you identify yourself with. But then what is this Paramatma? So needs to be understood. But before that Paramatma, also there are certain ideas connected with this Atma that will make your picture slightly more big, and we can go to that picture of Paramatma easily. The idea of Atma is presented in the ancient texts of yoga so that you can see everything in a one picture. It's a totality view. I find it hard to sometimes think of mental disturbances. I find it hard to sometimes feel my physical problems. But look, these physical problems and mental problems are linked. My intellectual capacity, my thinking capacity, and my mind is also limited. When I was a young boy, if I would not win the race, probably I would get sad because my intellect used to tell me, no, no, you must win this, and if you don't win, that's it. But now if I don't win a race, my intellect tells me that it's okay, you can fight in another race, and that controls my mind. My mind also says it's fine, no worries. So there is a link between intellect and mind and your body and your thinking and your emotions and your feelings. Once you understand the idea of Atma, you'll understand all these links. The idea of Atma is just not for me. Yoga says that Atma is in every object, every person, every animal, every plant. And it's the same energy because it is a part of the cosmic divine consciousness. So Atma is certainly the idea of equality. If I understand that the energy in the other person is same as me, then there will be idea of equality and respect. If I see that same energy in the animal and in the plant, there will be a respect, there will be a mutual respect and connection. Everywhere, if I apply this idea of Atma, it will certainly bring equality in my perception of the world. And this is very important concept in yoga, the equality. And in that equality, you see divinity. So yoga says that everyone are equal. And just not equal, but they represent a small part of the same cosmic dimension. Every object in society, everyone in the society, every object in the mother nature, there is equality. And this concept of Atma helps us relate with everyone and everything around. So this concept is for connection. Now let's talk about Paramatma. Parama is cosmic. So this cosmic consciousness or universal wise energy, how do you perceive it? It's very difficult. It's very difficult to understand Atma. And then how is it easy to perceive Paramatma? But there are examples that we can relate to. First example, the ocean and the drop. The ocean is Paramatma and the drop of that water is Atma. Now see the relationship between this ocean and drop. One person, one view can say, oh, ocean is infinite and drop is nothing. But other view is, who made the ocean? Every drop together made the ocean. And what is the quality of that drop as compared to the ocean? It's same. And this is yoga view. That Soham or I am that cosmic energy. Here you can identify that. The big and the small is not really relevant. When physicists, when they, or chemists, when they study a quality of an object or material, say a metal, earth, there's some iron, so they find iron and then they study the iron. They don't study the whole iron, they study a small atom of the iron, a very small part of that entire iron, and they infer these are the qualities of iron. This is exactly what I'm saying. Yoga talks about Atma as a divine, as a part of that divine insight. Same, another example, ray of sun is Atma and the sun itself is Paramatma. Now what does this Paramatma or this cosmic energy do? In physics, we know, astrophysics especially, there are billions of galaxies. Every galaxy, our galaxy, the name of our galaxy is Milky Way. How many stars are there in our galaxy? Billions of stars are there in our galaxy. Out of those billions of stars, sun is one star. Now we look at the structure of the galaxy. Every star is rotating around in the galaxy, around a very huge, massive black hole. Now in that solar system, near the sun, there are planets. Now these planets are also moving around the sun. Now around those planets, there are satellites, moon. There are different moons to these planets. They are revolving around the main planet. Our moon is revolving around Earth. Each of these cosmic objects, they are bound by gravity. There's kinetic force, there's gravitational force. In our sun, there is nuclear energy which is supporting the star against the gravity. So all these different forces in the mother nature are balancing each other. And everything is hanging in perfect balance. Now if you see the Mother Earth, the ecology is really well balanced. If we just take a small forest, the whole forest has its own ecology. And there are balancing forces everywhere. So this Paramatma idea is connected with this energy that balances everything in Mother Nature, in the cosmos. Now if you see this energy, it's the energy that motivates our life. We all wait for the next moment. We all have desire to act. We all have desire to do our karmas. That's a direction, that's a motivation. The tree grows, that's a motivation. So all these inspiring, motivating dimensions of our life is Paramatma. But if you look at this force is divided into three different ways it functions. There is a creative energy. The same Paramatma, this energy, this motivating, inspiring energy or energy of life has three dimensions. Creative dimension, then operative or maintenance, and then the transformative or destructive dimension. In our body also, see the function, how the energy in our body is functioning. The body creates new cells every day. The cells are operated by the body itself, maintained by the body itself, and then the cells are dead or they are transformed. But the same force you can see everywhere in Mother Nature: creative force, operative force, and destructive force. So this is the dimension of Paramatma, the cosmic energy. The purpose of our life, the meaning of our life comes here. The meaning is to find this idea of oneness between me and this cosmic energy, which is represented everywhere. This is what is yoga, union, to experience that oneness between me and the cosmic dimension. everything and everyone around me in the Mother Nature, when I will be able to unite or experience oneness. Union means experience of oneness or experience of harmony, acting together, working together in a balanced way. And this is the purpose of our life as per yoga. A very interesting difference between different cultures and religions and the concepts or ideologies right now prevalent in the world, and look at yoga's ideology, completely different. The religions try and divide. Some religions say that we are only the children of God, the rest have no right to live. Some other cultures say that we are superior, the others have no equal rights. Some others say that we are rich people and the poor have no rights. There's discrimination. And yoga exactly goes against these ideas that discriminate. And it gives a very powerful message of oneness. Because we are all one essentially. And there is a divinity within all of us. Although I have just mentioned that the ultimate objective of yoga is to experience the oneness between the individual consciousness Atma and the cosmic consciousness Paramatma. But to achieve that, there are 4 progressively broad purposes have been mentioned in the science of yoga, which are called Chaturvidha Purushartha, 4 purposes of life. Let's start with the first one. First one is called Kama. Kama is representing our sensual life, the life of our sensory organs, where we try and fulfill our desires. Now, why these desires are important? These desires are important because they help our survival. There will be little confusion in your mind because in last slides I was talking about the chariot and the sensory organs fulfilling the sensory desires, and then they neglect the command of the Atma. And now I am saying that that is also one purpose of life. But look, there's a fine difference. If my tongue does not have desire, I will not make an attempt to eat. And eating is necessary for my survival. My eyes tell me the beautiful things. Looking at that beautiful flower also brings me a joy. Looking at clean room makes me feel good. Organized cupboard makes me feel good. Because it's necessary for my survival. If I have everything organized and nice and beautiful, my life becomes easy. So these sensory desires and sensual organs do have a positive role to play. The problem with this dimension is often the sensory desires drive our mind crazy. And that's when we experience negativity. But that we'll discuss later. So just remember that desires are necessary, but the control over desires is very important. So the first purpose of life is Kama. The second purpose of life goes beyond our desires and sensory organs, and that is life related with our achievements, our accomplishments. I want to become a successful yoga teacher. I want to prove it to myself that I can do these asanas. I want to become a successful businessman. I want to become a good father. I want to become a very good friend. Now, these are all self-achievements. They are not related to our desires. And they bring meaning to our life. Without these purposes, it will be difficult for us to imagine our life. So this earth dimension is also very important. The next is Dharma. This dimension goes beyond our desires and our ego. The Dharma dimension. Dharma is responsibility or duty that I need to follow. For example, as a citizen of this country, I don't want to throw the trash outside. I'm taking a very basic example. It's nothing to do with my desires. It's nothing to do with my ego. But it's everything to do with my duty to my society. Many times, some natural calamities and some destructions happen in the world. And then we want to help. We give some money or we directly go and help. Now, it's nothing to do with my ego. It's nothing to do with my sensory desires. But I feel that it's my responsibility. So this word dharma is a very important purpose of life, which is certainly helping me connect with people around me. The objects in Mother Nature, I am able to connect with them in a better way. Then the last dimension is moksha. Now I have spoken about this dimension. Moksha is nothing but connecting individual consciousness to the cosmic consciousness and experiencing that state of being Buddha, state of that harmony and oneness with every object around me and finding the divinity in all these objects. Now if you broadly see these four purposes of life, kama connected with sensory organs, artha connected with ego and self-esteem, the dharma connects with the duty and your role, the moksha connects with the cosmic life. Now if you want to understand these four purposes of life in simple terms, the first two, the kama and artha, together make up our material life. This is a life for our sensual pleasures. Our basic needs are fulfilled through this life. But it's an extroverted life. I am looking for my desires. I am looking for sense of achievement, my self-esteem, my ego. And these desires are short-lived. The ego achievements are also short-lived. So it's a life that is impermanent life. And that's why it results in pain and suffering. Although the sensory desire of eating a sugar makes me happy, in long run, that eating sugar causes me suffering. So though this life is necessary for my survival, it does have a tendency to cause pain and suffering. But the second part of this is dharma and moksha together. You call it spiritual life, because this life goes beyond myself. It goes beyond my desires. It goes beyond my ego. It's an introverted life. It's focused on the connection that I have with the universe, the objects in the universe. It's a life where there is harmony. It's a life where there is acceptance of reality. It's a life where there is understanding and emotional oneness. And it's a life which is completely in our own control. This is a life of positive experience and a positive connection with whatever I have. It's not a life where you discuss what I don't have. When you say I have, I don't have, it's a life of I, that is ego, and life of desires or possessions that lead to desires. So generally we can divide this life, material life and spiritual life. But both of these parts are essential for our life. Although the spiritual life is the ultimate aim of human life. I gave you example of that chariot where Atma is the owner of the chariot. The chariot itself is body. The chariot driver is the intellect, the discriminating power. The rein is the mind. And the horses are our 5 sensory organs and motor organs. Let's use the same example here. The Atma, the idea of equality, divinity, the concept of oneness between me and all the other objects. When this Atma directs the intellect, so all my decisions, all my intellectual thinking is inspired by this concept of equality and divinity, then that intellect controls the mind and it tells the mind to look for this oneness and equality. And then the mind in turn controls the sensory organs to look for this oneness. That is the spiritual dimension. And the material dimension is the sensory objects dictate terms to the sensory organs. The chocolate tells the tongue, hey, I'm so delicious, get me. The sensory organ in turns tells the mind, hey, do something, let's get the chocolate. The mind in turns tells the intellect, hey, find out some ways so we can have the chocolate. And the intellect loses touch with Atma. That is our material dimension. Now if you take the same example of chocolate to the Atma, to the spiritual dimension, the sensory object is there, the chocolate is there. The sensory organ, although it will be happy to eat it, it is not really going for that chocolate because it's being controlled by mind. And what does the mind is saying? The mind is taking command from intellect and the intellect is taking command from Atma. And what is the command? The command is the joy that I'm going to get out of this chocolate is temporary. It's not really going to make me happy. So there is no point me going for it because there is more chance that I will be addicted. There's more chance that I'll put on weight. And then intellect tells that to mind, the mind tells that to sensory organs, and the sensory organ says, I'm not interested. So you have to apply every situation in these two ways, spiritual way and material way, and it will be easy for you to differentiate. So enjoying your material life, but keeping it in well within your control, you move to the spiritual dimension. And then following the path of Dharma, that is the responsibility, duty, going beyond your ego and going beyond your desires, you finally reach the state of moksha, that is that oneness. What do you experience? You experience the state of Sat Chit Ananda, Satchidananda. The Sat is eternal truth. The Chit is consciousness and Ananda is bliss. So it's the true blissful state of our consciousness. And this state is independent of what is the object, sensory object in front of you, or it is independent of ego. It goes beyond that. And this is the whole purpose of our life or yoga. And this is exactly what the state of samadhi means, Or this is exactly what nirvana means. If you take example of Buddha, Gautam Buddha, look at his state of mind. No object of desire could influence him. But even when he did not have any object of desires with him, he didn't have any money, he was a monk. He was very happy all the time. That happiness was independent of the sensory objects. And wherever he went, he could connect with everyone, every human being, every tree, every animal. Buddha could easily connect with, because he was always in that state of Satchidananda. So when I am committing myself on the path of yoga, I am committing to this state of samadhi or nirvana or the state of Satchidananda, where whatever is there, my state of my mind will always be positive. My sensory organs will always be under my control. I will always be positive. I will always be able to connect with whosoever is around me. And that is what we are going to discuss in this program. Hari Om. I'm going to stop here. Thank you.